Hey everybody, this is Keith with Indie Comics Relay, back with another review. Before we get into the review, just a quick reminder that I have a story in X-Farce Reloaded, which is a return for Don Chin, who used to do the adolescent black belt radioactive hamsters. He's got a new Indiegogo called X-Farce Reloaded. And me and Anton and Ian have a story in there making fun of Jonathan Hickman's House of X and Powers of X. So check that out. And if anybody looking for my Mighty Mascots stuff, you can check it out on our website, recklesssidekick.com, or on alternaaccess.com. And all right, let's get into this review. So this week I am reviewing Reckless by writer Ed Brubaker, artist Sean Phillips, and colorist Jacob Phillips. Reckless is it's actually a hardcover book. I think it's about 150 pages or so. It's the first of hopefully many from this creative team. Before I get into it, let me read a little bit of what the story is about. I'm going to read this from the back cover. Meet Ethan Reckless. Your trouble is his business for a price. A former 60s radical with the scars to prove it, Ethan is one part repo man, one part private eye, and one part wrecking ball. But when a fugitive from his Weather Underground days reaches out for help, Ethan will have to face the only thing he really fears anymore, his own past. It's sex, drugs, and murder in early 80s Los Angeles by Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips, best-selling creators of Criminal, Fatale, Killer Be Killed, and Pulp. Launched their first graphic novel series with an electrifying new take on the paperback pulp hero. So those two paragraphs really sum up this book without me getting into spoilers or anything like that. Anyone who's read Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips' work, I mean, they've been a creative team now for at least, oh my God, maybe at least 20 years at this point. Maybe less than that, maybe 15. I'm trying to think of when I first... No, 20 years is probably pretty accurate. Maybe even a little more than that. But anyways, these guys are great. I have to say, consistently, one of the best creative teams in comics. I've been following these guys, oh God, since way back. Like Ed Brubaker, I remember reading his Vertigo stuff, like the Dead Enders series, and then he did Catwoman with Darwin Cook for a while. That was really awesome. And then Sean Phillips, I remember seeing his stuff from the Hellblazer days, working with Paul Jenkins, and those are great. If you ever want to read some real good John Constantine stories, pick up those Hellblazers. I mean, Sean Phillips used to draw demons that would haunt your nightmares, you know. But yeah, these guys they've been doing like different series like Criminals and Fatale, Killer Be Killed. They're all like homages to different genres of fiction, mostly like detective and pulp and that kind of stuff, but highly recommended if you love crime novels or noir, like old detective stuff. This is perfect. And I gotta say, the artwork, some of the best Sean Phillips ever done. He's just so good at drawing just people like talking. You usually judge an artist by like action and stuff like that, but this guy, he really captures it. And the colors by Jacob Phillips are great. He is as good as his father, like the stuff I've seen. Like he also draws that Texas Blood, which I reviewed #1 earlier this year, which I wasn't I wasn't bowled over by it, but I've been collecting it since number one, and I've been really enjoying it. It's gotten better since the first issue. So check out, Reckless. From what I understand, it's going to be a series of hardcover graphic novels. This is the first of, I think they said they want to do 3 a year, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, the thing I love about Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips is they're always gung-ho right at the beginning, but then by about 15 issues in, they're like, oh, I'm going to do this other thing now, So, but I really like this character. It reminded me of like an 80s version of like Jack Reacher, like an old, he's, like an ex-FBI and, but he's just helps people now, so it's a really cool setting. I like the 80s setting in this, and LA, I think it really works. It reminded me, I'm glad he's doing these books. It reminded me of, and I highly recommend these if you haven't read them, IDW about, maybe about 8 years ago at this point, they did a series of Parker books, hardcover books for IDW. I think there's like 5 of them, 5 or 6. I know I got them all, and I've read them all. They're all by Darwin Cook before he died. God rest his soul. But they're excellent. And if you don't know the Parker character, it's there was a movie that Mel Gibson did called Payback, which was the Parker character, but these are much better, more in depth, and more in line of what the character is. So I highly recommend checking those out. And then it also reminded me, DC did a bunch of these small hardbacks, crime books. I forget the name of them. I'll put a picture in the video so you can see what I'm talking about. But I collected all of those. Those were excellent. I'm glad to see he's kind of bringing this back, because those kind of went away. I don't know if they were selling well or what, but I mean, we need books like this. We need stuff that's, out there besides just the normal superhero thing, So if you couldn't tell, I highly recommend this book. It was $25. I actually, I usually order all my comics through DCBS, which is Discount Comic Book Service. Plug for those guys. But you can get huge discounts on stuff. And I held off getting this through them because I figured, I wanted to buy it from the comic book store, when it came out. I'm so happy that I did, because it included a book plate that was signed by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips that came free with the book. I don't know, if you guys are interested, check your local stores. Some of them might have these. I don't know if it was just an exclusive sent to comic stores or not. But so cool that I finally, because I've never seen these guys at conventions. I've been to New York a few times and, all around New England. And these guys, they never do shows. So it was kind of cool to just get an autograph from them. Like I said, I think they're consistently the best creative team in comics right now. So I'm looking highly forward to the next Reckless book, which I think it just came up for solicitation this month. So check that out. But that's it. That's it for this week's review. We'll be back next week. Huge guest. I talked earlier in the show. We have Don Chin coming on. I'm really looking forward to talking to Don, getting into his past. And I mean, this guy was a force of indie comics back in the 80s. I mean, his books were selling like 80,000 copies, which is crazy. I mean, that would be a top 10 book at Marvel and DC right now, So really looking forward to talking to him. And so yeah, join us on the live stream this coming Wednesday. And the channel's getting bigger and bigger. We're getting more audience in the live stream. So thank you guys for all of that. We appreciate that. And until then, we'll talk to you later. All right, guys. Have a great week. Bye.